You spot a roach on your kitchen counter at midnight, just standing there, like it owns the place. You go under the sink, grab the can and aim. You spray until the surface is wet and the air smells like chemicals and the roach stops moving. You go back to bed, thinking you handled it. The next morning the counter is clear. The kitchen smells like the inside of a hardware store. You check under the stove. Nothing moves. You figure the problem is done. 3 days later, there is another roach. Same counter, same spot. So you spray again, more this time. Every crack along the baseboard, the gap behind the stove, the underside of the cabinet. You hold the can longer, cover more surface, do everything the label tells you. They come back. So you buy a different brand, maybe a stronger formula. The label promises kills on contact, fast acting, residual protection for weeks. You spray again. You wait again. You check again. And at some point you stop wondering if the spray works and start wondering what you are doing wrong. Did you miss a spot? Did you use too little? Is it something about your kitchen specifically that makes this impossible to solve? You start reading the instructions more carefully. You try a different technique. You spend more money. It is not your fault. And the reason these roaches have survived every can you have ever bought starts the moment you pull that trigger. The chemical in that can hit the roaches on contact and send them running. Not dead, running. Into the wall cavity behind your counter, through the gap under the baseboard, into the next room, through the crack under a closed door. University of Florida researchers spent years tracking exactly what happens inside a kitchen after a standard spray application. What they found was not what the label promised. The roaches did not die where they stood. The chemical acted more like a fire alarm than a weapon. It told every roach in range that the treated area was dangerous and sent them looking for somewhere you had not touched. The bedroom you never sprayed, the bathroom at the other end of the hall, the living room. And if you live in a building with shared walls, sometimes the apartment next to yours. Field studies documented roaches leaving treated units in webs and appearing in neighboring units that had never had a problem before. One spray application in one kitchen did not contain the infestation. It dispersed it across a wider area than it had ever occupied. The kitchen that looked clean the morning after was not clean because the roaches were dead. It was clean because they left, and they brought the problem to rooms you were not even checking. Every surface you have ever sprayed, every room that looked clear the next morning, that was not victory. That was migration. The infestation did not shrink. It spread into spaces the spray never reached, into walls it never touched, into corners of your home you will not notice until a week later, when a roach appears somewhere new. And what happened to the roaches the spray actually reached is where this gets stranger. German cockroaches have lived alongside humans for thousands of years across every climate, every building type, every attempt to remove them. Every generation that came into contact with the chemicals in that cannon survived passed something on to the next one. A change deep in the nervous system. A shift that made the same ingredient that should have paralyzed them register as almost nothing at all. Researchers at the University of Kentucky screened cockroach populations pulled from apartments and homes across American cities. 88% of them carried a specific genetic change that makes pyrethroids, the active ingredient found in virtually every spray brand you have ever bought, effectively useless against them. Not less effective, useless. Think about what that number means the next time you spray a kitchen. If 100 roaches are in that room, statistically, 88 of them walk away from the application completely unaffected. The spray is not eliminating the population. It is selecting it. The ones that survive are the most resistant. Those are the ones that breed. The next generation is slightly harder to kill than the last. The one after that is harder still. This resistance did not appear suddenly. It built across decades of spray applications in American homes and apartment buildings. Every time someone used a pyrethroid spray, got a few days of quiet, and watched the roaches come back, the survivors were passing something to their offspring. The product has been running this experiment since the first time anyone used it, And the roaches have been passing the exam every generation. The roaches in your kitchen right now are not random. They are the descendants of every survivor from every spray application in that building's history, pre-selected generation by generation, by the exact product you keep reaching for. If the scattering and the resistance were the whole story, that would already be enough to explain why the spray has never worked. But there is a third reason, and this one is the one that will genuinely stop you. A roach does not breathe the way you do. It has no nose, nothing near its face that takes in air. Along both sides of its body there is a row of tiny holes. Each one is a valve it can open or close whenever it needs to. That is how a roach breathes. And when it senses a chemical in the air around it, it closes those valves completely. Picture the room you just sprayed, door closed, can back under the sink. You are standing outside doing what the instructions told you, giving it time to work. Inside that room, the roaches are not dying and they are not fleeing. They are sitting still. Inside the cabinet hinge, behind the back of the stove, in the gap between the wall and the counter, breathing holes sealed, not moving, just waiting. The chemical is in the air all around them and none of it can get in because they have shut the door on it. A roach can hold its breath this way for up to 40 minutes. The instructions on that can told you to apply it and close the door. That closed door, that gap between you leaving the room and you coming back, is exactly the window they need. By the time you return and the door opens, the concentration in the air has dropped. The valves reopen. The roaches resume moving through your kitchen exactly as they were before you started. You did what the label said. The roach did what 200 million years of biology built it to do. The outcome was never in doubt. And there is one more piece that closes this completely. Every pregnant female carries her egg case pressed against her own body until just before the eggs are ready to hatch. She does not set it down somewhere. She does not leave it in a crack where it might be exposed. She carries it with her, tucked beneath her, deep inside the harborage that nothing sprayed on a kitchen surface ever reaches. Every roach that hatches from that case has never encountered a single drop of spray in its entire life. It arrives already carrying the genetic resistance of its mother, untouched, already prepared for the environment it is being born into. The next generation starts clean every time. This is why it comes back. Not because you missed a spot, not because you chose the wrong brand. The spray scattered the roaches it alarmed into rooms you were not treating. It failed to affect the 88% already immune to its active ingredient. It got waited out by the ones sitting still inside a sealed kitchen with their breathing holes closed. And it never once reached the eggs already developing in the wall behind your counter. Every can you have ever bought was solving a problem that was already rebuilding itself before you put the can back under the sink. You were not doing it wrong. You were doing exactly what the label told you to do. The problem was never technique. It was that the product was built to give you something you could see, not something that would actually last. A kitchen that looks clear the next morning is a kitchen that needs another can in a week. The spray market pulls in hundreds of millions of dollars every year not by solving this problem, but by managing it just enough to keep you buying. If you want to know what actually reaches every part of what we just described, that video is already on your screen. Go watch it next. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so the next one finds you before the next roach does. Tell me in the comments how many cans you have gone through and whether the problem ever actually stopped, or just moved somewhere else for a while. I read every single one.